Warner Music Group, Curb Records, and more say anti-LGBT Tennessee bills would harm Music City. All right, so what's going on here? Warner Music Group and Curb Records are among a growing list of businesses voicing opposition to a set of controversial bills in the Tennessee General Assembly, which they argue could pose a threat to the LGBT community in the state and its beloved Music City. Among other things, the bills would allow private adoption agencies to turn away same-sex couples and require the Tennessee Attorney General to either defend schools who are sued for anti-transgender policies or pay their legal costs. In an open letter to state legislators published on April 26 and signed by Warner and Curb, Aaron Davis, a Tennessee resident and CEO of global music administration company Exploration, writes, "Nashville is Music City. This legislation threatens the fabric of that long-standing value and pride that we all feel around the role that Nashville and Tennessee play on the world stage. I am proud to have employees that identify as LGBTQ, and one can be certain that we are not alone across the larger music business. Our business and the greater music industry are better as a result of their presence and effort, and this legislation will almost certainly have a substantial negative economic impact on the most viable industry in Nashville." Good for them. You know, and this is one of those things. Nashville in particular has always had this bohemian element to it. They always had like this beatnik bohemian element to it that kind of made it a little more free thinking. Maybe more so than the rest of the state. Same with Memphis in a lot of ways. And I'm glad to see that organizations are being loud about that. And especially, country music in particular has slowly started to evolve. When I used to do a music podcast called Five Chords and the Truth, and we kind of did an episode dedicated to the pop country world, which is not a genre of music I personally enjoy as a listener. We were just covering it because of, the cultural impact it has. It is huge. And we were talking about how it is kind of evolving politically. They are more vocal about being pro-LGBTQ, which is awesome. And after that Vegas shooting, that world has even evolved a little bit when it comes to guns. And people who, there was that one musician in particular who used to be like, my gun, Second Amendment, who is now saying, we need a common sense gun policy in this country because this is ridiculous. We need a common sense policy that can deter stuff like this from happening. So, the pop country world is kind of catching up to the times politically, which is an interesting thing to watch and a positive thing. And I think this is all sort of a segment alluding to that, or something that supports that notion. Obviously Warner is a wide umbrella. They have all types of genres of music. Curb is a little more in the country world. They do a little bit of everything as well, I'm pretty sure. But Curb is a little more situated in the country world. I did an internship in Nashville when I was in college, and then I lived there later in my life. But when I did my internship, it was such a cool time to be an intern on Music Row, because that was back when Music Row was a little less corporate then. This was about 2006. And it was all just literally like houses that were publishing houses and record labels and radio and records offices and just all kinds of cool stuff going on. And what I used to do is I would just knock on the door in places and I would talk to anyone who was willing to talk to me. And you could do that, but maybe you can still do that. I don't know. It's been a long, but when I used to live in Nashville and I would be on Music Row, it seemed like that kind of chill element of it was not quite the same. I could be wrong, but it sort of seemed that way. But, when I was just a long-haired 20-year-old doing this internship at a record label, I would just go down Music Row, I would knock on doors, and I'd be like, hey, I know what you guys do. I think it's pretty interesting. I'm an intern. I'm learning about stuff. Does anyone want to talk? And you'd be surprised. A lot of people, they were like, yeah, I'm helping out a youth. I'm going to take time out of from whatever I'm doing, all this busy shit, and I want to just chill and talk about myself for a few minutes to this kid. I got a lot of valuable information, actually. And that internship, even though I don't work in the music industry, clearly, that internship actually helped me a lot in my professional life. I learned how to write a press release. I learned kind of how publicity works. I learned, a thing or two about publishing and copyright, which now that I put out my own, I put out albums now. So that's good to know. So anyway. So yeah, so I'm glad that the Music City is letting its voice be known that, hey, Tennessee, this is our state too. And these are our values and our principles. So good for you, Nashville. That's cool. A little bit of good news out of the Music City, which, by the way, it's been a crazy time in the Music City. So they had the NFL draft there, and then there was something else big going on in town too. So a lot of I still have a lot of friends in Nashville, and they were posting pictures like it was just flooded downtown. There was also a marathon. There was a marathon, and the NFL draft was there. So the town was just flooded. Not literally. I should be careful with that term because they actually did face a very bad flood in 2010. But I think the year was 2010. Don't quote me on that. Earlier in the stream, I had a brain fart and said it was 2018. So, But I'm pretty sure it was 2010. And, yeah. So, but it was crowded with people. Which Nashville, by the way, also has that problem because the city is I think it is the fastest growing major city in the country right now. And the infrastructure is not quite ready for it. And they could have had a big AMP program, which was a great public transportation program that would have helped the city a lot. But a bunch of Koch brothers money stamped that out. I was living in Nashville when that happened. Anyway, all right. So good news out of the Music City. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your